last speaker of the practice session is Bram Vanschoenwinkel, and we called him a veteran, and that's not without a reason, so he will tell us about his experience right now. Oh, this is
just so that,
yeah. And I give you this laser pen, I give you if there's like
Okay, so I will be talking about data quality, Roman tactics, and business involvement as key factors for successful process mining. Actually, this is immediately the conclusion of my talk, and it's quite reassuring that my predecessors they said quite similar things. So that's quite reassuring that that I'm not missing the point completely here. So let's have a look. First of all, I want to present three cases. The first one is about payroll accounting. This was actually the first process mining project I did at a client. Next, I will be talking about a project we did in public administration. And third one, if we have still some time, a small project in the postal services. And finally, some lessons learned. So, first, a small problem setting. The first project in process mining I actually did was at a payroll accounting company, and they developed this tool which allowed their clients to do some part of the process themselves. So they could input some data, and then they pushed on this button, submit, and then in back office you had a very simple process for the back office workers to do. They had to do some validation, confirmation, then proceed, and then you had two batch procedures, prepare and calculate, and the actual wages were calculated. So, of course, the goals were very clear. They wanted to reduce the price for the client, improve flexibility, and increase the speed of the processing of the payroll account. Of course, on the side of the organization, they wanted to reduce the workload, reduce the costs, and reduce throughput time. So this would have been a win-win situation. But what did they notice? In reality, this didn't happen. Of course, they reduced price for the client, but what did they see? Workload, costs, throughput time in the back office? No way, it didn't go down. So what did they do? They tried process mining, but it didn't really work. So they called in our help, and actually, indeed, we got an event log, and when we put it in process mining tool, in Bram, this was actually what was getting out. So they told us, yeah, we really need to know the significant hidden factories. What are our back office workers doing? Which data are they manipulating? What are they doing? So we were like, okay, this is not working. So we had a look at the application, the back office application. And it turned out that it was a very old, you know, probably some of you still know this, mainframe application. And what was interesting, first of all, you had a number of function keys you could use to edit a field, to look up a value, to lock a value, to delete a value. But also in the bottom, you could go to, you had this go to function key, you could go to any point in the application where you wanted. So there was not a real workflow thing behind it. So, of course, that's what's happening here. Furthermore, what was also going on, so they were really interested in this part of the process where the clients did the input of the data themselves in the front. But this mainframe application was used throughout the entire organization. So there was much more going on in the event logs. So it was clear that we needed to go talk with people who knew the application, who knew the business. So that's what we did. And this allowed us to clean up the original data set. First of all, what did we do? We did a logical clustering. A logical clustering of screen names to activities. So in the event log, you only had names of screens. Names of screens, and furthermore, the function key, so F1, F2, that was pressed within a screen. So what did we do? We said, well, some of these screen names, they logically belong together, like calendar data, employee data, employer data. Sometimes you had screens who had numbers because information didn't fit on one screen. So we clustered them all together and we gave them reasonable names like manipulating employer data, calendar data, and so on and so on. Then we filtered out low frequent activities. And then last, well, almost last, what did we do? Well, we had all these function keys that were pressed, but that was too much detail. So we combined different function keys that were pressed within one screen to one activity. And I will show this in a minute. Final step, what did we do? We only kept process instances that started with submit, because that was actually the sign that we were talking about these instances that were performed by the clients who input first part of the data themselves. So I said, what did we do? We, the last step in my event log preparation was about combining the different keys that are pressed within one screen to one activity. And you see here, the second column is actually the name of the screen. The third column, you can see the keys that have been pressed, and this becomes, so we have a case ID. This screen is the validation screen, and the first key that is entered in the screen is the starting time of the activity, and the last key that is entered in the screen is the end activity. So, and that was enough detail for us, because the only thing that interested us was, yeah, they're doing something with employer data or with employee data. So, and that was important. And how long does it take them to manipulate and correct this data? Well, this might look quite simple, but actually it was quite a tedious task, because you see, you have to take care, well, are the keys pressed by the same originator, by the same employee, by the same person? If not, probably it's not the same. Is the time logical? Because if there's 2 days between pressing one key and another key, so it's not as simple as it seems, but we managed to do it. And what was the result? We got a nice flow, and in green you can see the normal process flow as given in one of my previous slides. So that was at least reassurance. The process as they thought it was actually present in the event log. And then on the right side, and we call it significant hidden factories, we find a number of types of data that was manipulated, like client data, salary data, calendar data, worker data, and comments. And of course, we could put time on it, standard deviation, we could calculate all kinds of statistics, and this was a great help in actually improving the process. For example, we noticed big standard deviation in one of the activities. What was in the time of the activities, what was going on? Well, often information was missing. People had to call to the client to get the information, but some people called immediately. Other people, they listed all their questions throughout the day and they called by evening. So one person finished the activity in 2 minutes. For the other, it took like 4 or 5 hours. Furthermore, because maybe they didn't have their answers yet by the end of the day, they had put comments in a field, and so on and so on and so on. So we could make changes to the user interface at the client side. We could generalize best practices, and it was really a big success. Okay, the second project is about public administration. It's actually a Belgian province, and they have one big administrative process in which all kinds of policy decisions have to be taken, and you have on the top you can see actually the policy domains. They prepare the dossiers, and to prepare the dossiers you have people working on it. They have to send it to their director. A very important step is that they have to, I better use this. Very important step is that it has to pass through finance, and once it's approved over here, it goes to the provincie, I think it's the provincial scribe in English, And then it goes to the deputation. And this is where decisions are taken. Sometimes it goes back because quality wasn't good, or they just won't do it, or it is decided. Or maybe they have to make some adjustments. And then you go back to the director, to the policy domains, they do the things. Once the decision has been taken, it goes to the secretary and they make a small report out of it. Very, very heavy process. You've got like 30 policy domains. They're distributed. They're not all at the same location. Very heavy administrative process. So they were interested in, are there bottlenecks in the process? They had the feeling there were bottlenecks in the process. But there was a little bit of doubt. Well, it was a sensitive thing because the bottlenecks were probably at the directors and at the departmental head. They had the feeling like, yeah, often they have to approve things, they have to sign things, but they're never at their desk, and then it takes 2 days, and this is a real problem. They wanted to know whether the process flow, as shown in this figure, is this the actual process flow? So the waiting for approval and just-in-time delivery. Okay, this committee, the deputation, they took decisions on a 2-weekly basis, and there were very strict deadlines. And of course, often documents were delivered always just in time. So again, first attempt, not really a success. What was going on? I don't know whether you can read it, but in the data, they put things on the agenda, they put things on lists, and always the date was included. Of course, for every day that the process was executed, you get a different activity. Quite trivial one. So we started by cleaning up activity names. Dates is just one of the examples, there were others. Again, we consolidated activities because also types of documents were mentioned in the activities. And then what was important, so you could see we had basically 2 sub-processes, put it on the agenda and then make a small report after the decision has been taken. And it was important that we could separate these 2 sub-processes. And then, again, we only considered processes or process instances that started with a particular activity. Now, I want to show you the last one, the last step in the creation of the event log that we did. This was, what you see here is the case ID on the left, timestamp, and then the activity. Now what's going on the right, you can see whether is it still in the phase of the agenda, or is it becoming the notulen, the small report after a decision has been taken. But at the level of the activity, the name is the same. They always call it input. And of course, when you input it into a process mining tool, you won't see any difference. So what did we do? We just changed the name and we added notulen. So we ended up with this process, which was very recognizable for the people, which was really important for them, because that was also one of the problems with the payroll accounting case. People weren't involved in the beginning, they didn't recognize the process, they were like, but this was very recognizable. And of course, once this was validated and people were getting enthusiastic, what could we do? We could go on, investigate the points we wanted to investigate, waiting for approval, indeed. Head of department, mean 5.8 days, director 3.3 days, and we could really relate it to the place in the process where this happened. Bottlenecks, we knew of one bottleneck, which was the financial department, but we discovered another one, which was the secretary of the provincial scribe. And you can really see, so this is a social network created by handover of work. This is really a bottleneck. And then the just-in-time delivery. What did we see? That the active cases over time, that they always had a peak just the day before deadline of submission of documents was. Okay, very quick. Last one, postal services. So in postal services company in Belgium, of course you all know this, by now everybody's working with barcodes, things are scanned, you can track your package online, the barcodes are used to do automatic sorting of the mail. Of course, the mailman goes deliver the mail. Sometimes mail returns because it cannot be delivered and they return it to sender. So, of course, this is a very complex environment. And when we wanted to get insight into this, well, we started with 1 week of data. 1.5 million events and 200,000 cases for 1 week only. So this was really a problem. So again, what did we do? We really, and that's where the Roman tactics come into play, we really divided to conquer. We split up the problem. We filtered the different week logs, and we really, first we look at the entire process. And we look, okay, what are the starting activities? And then we made different processes for the different starting activities. We filtered, we exported them to CSV, and then we could recombine them again, the different parts, recombine them to a period of 3 months. And the results were again very nice. I will be quick about this. They were, well, the project is still ongoing, but at the moment the IT guy who is in charge of the configuration of the state machine, logging all these events with the scanner, is very enthusiastic about the information and is actually using it to configure its state machine. Finally, some conclusions. Understanding the business context is really important. Invest in your data. We heard it before, garbage in, garbage out. And this is actually, in my experience, also one of the most time-consuming steps in the whole process. Divide and conquer. Split up your original problem in different sub-problems. And also, very important, talk, discuss, to improve, to actually improve the processes. And I see this in this way, process mining as an incremental and iterative process. You start with a small problem, you add complexity by discussing the results with the business, by interpreting the results and doing the cycle all over again. I thank you.
I think one quick question for Bram and then we go into the coffee break. Someone?
I was just wondering, did you also, in any of these projects, did a follow-up to test what the real impact of your process mining analysis was?
Yeah. Well, the first project, as I told you, there was too little business involvement. It didn't really take off. Well, buying from the management and so on. But the second project, they were still working on, and the process is actually being, or has been, improved, has been changed based on findings that we did, and now they're actually was actually the basis for implementation of a new IT system they would use, and they're actually implementing the system now. And some of the improvements or some of the things we recommended are actually being implemented at this moment. Yeah.